Hello everyone, this is Fantastic Worlds. Welcome you back to Lovecraft Country and Cultist Simulator, the Exile DLC Season 2. Not sure which one at this point. Okay, so there's a couple of comments there before that suggested that first of all, I spare our poor fallen Labahite, which of course is a monster in human form that has been mutated and only eats sky things and people apparently. And second of all, that to try to get the pentiment ending, basically the moth ending, to see if I get this because the Labradorite will give me the seventh one of those that I'll need. I have 6 up here already, and I'll be able to access that. The only problem being is that I will need to get back to the sea with to use the flute here. And yeah, we're kind of running out of places to go. It may be entirely, and I tried to spawn a C card. I cannot figure out what the code for the card was, so if that fails, we're just going to have to do our basic defeat the foe ending. Now, that leaves a few other endings. I mean, I'd love to be able to get another 2 comfort if we can, but we may not be able to. So I guess we charge out into the world. For the moment, let's see. We got Labite, okay. Okay, even before Ikandia corrupted Labanite, Kalmia would have killed him in the colonel's name. Now he's not only a monster, but a corrupt monster. Naval, which is her father, who's a priest of the Lionsmith, and thus pro-monster, has consoled mercy. The pretense of perfection, he says grandly, is the deepest sickness of the soul, and I actually will agree on that one. That's the sin of order. We always think of order as good and chaos as evil, but it's not. Order is order, chaos is chaos. After all, chaos is the source of all things. Without it, there'd be nothing. In fact, a lot of what we could see are the problems with, shall we say, modern societies, not a singular one there, is their obsession with order is such that they limit all aspects of life. But anyways, enough of that. Clammy isn't impressed, but she respects you and her father enough to stay her hand if you insist. So, we pop this open. The decision we have to make is, well, we can actually use tranquility, which is kind of interesting. I've got a tranquility. Let's see what that does. He's something the lion has never intended. Who knows what else he might become? So if we do this one, by the way, ooh, love the picture here, by the way. It's kind of like yeah, the empty face of fate, as it were, the unknown, the chaos. I don't know what happens if you put in defiance. Same graphic. He's betrayed with alliance with intended. Let him die. All right. So we're gonna go with pro chaos in this one. Less like the fact you can summon that sound effect at will this way. So we're gonna have this 30 seconds go by, and we're going to see what becomes of our decision. And this might be a short episode, by the way, if we don't have any other places to go except Marrakesh. And screw it, let's see if we got anything useful. What the heck is that supposed to be? Interesting. That might not have been something you wanted to show there. This version, the DLC, like I said, is incomplete, and until I figure out the console entirely, some options may be completely removed from us. Kalmayan shrugs and turns her back. Neville accompanies you to the desert's edge. A Labite who has not yet spoken a word lifts a flat rock from the ground, kisses it, and passes it to you. Then he lopes off into the dunes without a backwards look. Sun-kissed stone, a gift from someone who's not as he was. In other words, he is imbued with the power of the Watchman. So we're pro-Watchman on this decision, so yeah, keep that in mind. Anyways, it is a pentiment. That is our 7th. It also produces 1 comfort. My god, we're only 1 comfort away from that. It might not be that the other one would have given us comfort, by the way, so keep that in mind. But yes, basically it just gives us warm fuzzies, as it were. Now, there is a way for me to get the level 2, the comfort thing, if I spawn 1 more comfort card. I think I can. Let's see. Holy man. I already got one of those. So, oh, right. I was going to do a thing where I did this and looked and got our ticket to cross country, because unfortunately that's all we can do right now. So yeah, if the cross country doesn't give us another place to go, like I said, we're gonna have to be doing the comfort ending. I mean, where we essentially... And I will do the level 1 one first, if that's the case, rather than respawning a new card, unless we come across a new one, because it's actually kind of interesting and goes over a few things. If you had it before, it might be a little confusing. So we can go over that. Hang on. Sunset. Sigh. Forge and winter. I do like that combination. Does not, however, provide a define. Nope, we don't want to do that. We can't leave town with that. Let's have happy thoughts. Thank you. We want to retire. Basically, I think our character's getting tired of wandering around looking for a place to settle down. One way or the other. For one purpose or another. Alright. Alright, that's going on. Let's see where we can end up. Which again is going to be cross-country. Like I said, it's not the best ending for us, unfortunately, but it's kind of where we were headed for originally. By murdering the foe, essentially, we have the option of just saying screw it, settling down somewhere. The assassins, I mean, the thing is, your character probably has enough enemies out there, they will have to watch their back for the rest of time, but not as much as they used to. They don't have anybody who hates them on a personal level. It's just business. Business can be cutthroat, after all. What we got? Yep, dash across country. Now the dash is only going to last that, so we have exactly one of these. Do that. Then we will be heading out. Which, like I said, is unfortunate, but if we can't find anywhere else, we might have actually gone through every single place you can go through here. Which was a great tour, mind you, but, you know, it'll be a while before we come back to this because of that. Because you gotta let the palette kind of cleanse itself, return ourselves back to the panicked part. Now that we know how to kill the foe, it's not nearly as much panicked because, you know, we've got a strategy of a hit and run sort of thing where most people either flee or try to do straight up attack. So yeah, I'm gonna say that it doesn't even cost us anything at all. Alright, so I will catch you on the other end. Hang on, because this is gonna take a while. Okay, so let's see if we actually have any place left to go. And if we don't have any more contacts, again, we'll just have to end it here. Which is going to be an extraordinarily short episode, unfortunately. But we'll talk about what's going to happen next week as a result. Leningrad. The Athenians who sell years in the Russia are sworn enemies of the Reckoner mobs. But I've been known to get drunk with a certain Shushkin. Let's hope he remembers me. So we're all going all the way back to Leningrad. Oh boy, I guess we, I guess there's this one place we haven't burned down yet. Well, it's like, could be awkward. Hopefully whoever the heck, FSB these days, KGB late earlier than that, but you know how it is. Let me check something. Oh yeah, it's definitely troubled. Okay, so don't think it's actually going to help, but we might be able to figure something else out. So let's take expenses and take our wound, unfortunately. So yeah, once more into the breach, people. Dear friends, once more into the breach. Okay, so here we go, returning back, finish off the USSR before it's created. Because apparently we missed Leningrad, which is also, I believe, St. Petersburg in the modern day. It's one of the two major cities in the western section of Russia. The USSR these days, it's Russia, despite what they might wish. Alright. Sushkin, the Athenian. I do not know why they're called Athenians. Does indeed remember. I will buy you a prodigious funeral, he tells me delightedly. I have a plot picked out for you within Tivikon. I'm going to actually check that because I'm thinking that he's like going to bury us in Siberia. Because, you know, that would be the ultimate insult, basically. Drop you off in some spot in where the wolves can't even find you. Leningrad Oblast. No, actually, both banks of the Tivian Reader, it looks like it's actually a half-decent place. So, you know, Shushkin, you know, maybe you're not that bad of a guy. Although I don't want to be buried in Russia. It's a little small, but I don't imagine your friends will leave very much of you. No, I insist. It's the least I can do. Haha. Even the compliments are backhanded. Alright, so I was going to basically start us with an underworld contact, I believe. Yeah, it's an ungodly amount of... Oh my god, that's a lot of stuff. First things first, I actually want to know where the heck, if we have any other place we can actually go from. Go to from here. We're also going to end up with a restlessness and a vitality, which will actually get rid of our wound. So apparently the air is good for us. Leningrad's pretty freaking north there. But yeah, yeah. Although he's probably only got us like a 3x3 slot. You know how expensive real estate can be. No, again, we're gonna... Oh god, I guess we're just gonna burn the place down and run into the wilderness again. God. So, and obviously, it's not a seaport. Maybe got a river, but unfortunately, she doesn't... The Madame Leviangu does not go up a river. We go down to the ocean to meet her because she's far, far too important for that sort of thing. Oh, good lots. Yeah. Yeah, there is absolutely no chance. We may not be able to pull it off. And I don't think there's any items here that's going to give us much for comfort. And we're just kind of looking for the, there you go. Make me feel better. The air is good with you. As a reckoner, I've learned to redirect life's little surges, otherwise we consume life force. So I guess we're energy vampires on top of everything else. And color me completely and utterly unsurprised. Yeah, there's always a bureaucrat looking for a handout. Alright. A little fee, I can get that paperwork done. Otherwise, the bureaucracy can be slow, man. You don't want to be caught out here. There you go. Yeah, the reason why it's these mocking the mages here is due to our elder blood. We actually have the ability to consume life force itself. It may not actually be a reckoner ability, because nobody else seems to be able to pull that off. It may be that it's our own heritage. And let's just look at this. Let's look at the sunset for a little bit. Alright, give me some radicals. I know there's some whites here somewhere. Whites, of course, being the pro-Tsarist forces that were in Russia. I honestly don't know who picked why for what reasons. I imagine everybody thought they had something to gain or lose by the revolution, which, you know, kind of where we are now in a lot of places. Increasing winds. Gee, what are the odds of getting those? Bracing weather, but apparently a little too bracing at times. Good lord. I don't like reckoners, which means they're probably a local assassin's guild, and we played both sides of the fence, and which paid off now. Repurposed Datsun. Unexpectedly, here's a Buddhist temple with painted doors and stained glass windows. This must be before that, but the paint is peeling and most of the windows have been boarded up. A certain Red Army battalion commander has taken the place over, supposedly for storage, but those of us who know the passwords are permitted to join him in stern ceremonies for the scarred face of the Buddha, meaning it's a colonel one. While it may be odd to think of the Buddha having a martial aspect, being, you know, primarily of Buddhism being primarily a pacifistic religion, truth being is that Buddha is a place of order. Now, what that means, hang on. Yeah, we can't really do much with it. But what that really means is that the colonel is the one who imposes order, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be violent. He prefers violence, but it doesn't have to be. The imposition of a religion or a belief, such as communism, which is not a religion, obviously, but has performed similar functions in attempting to attend to the spiritual needs of the individual, or suppress them in this case. Any sort of societal structure is something that he will support because he wants things to stay quiet and for the wealth. Now, this is one of the reasons why I think that if back in Book of Hours, the counter legend that the colonel betrayed the mother of ants after she helped assist him gain godhood, instead of him helping her, is got a pretty valid one, because the mother of ants or serpents, is an aspect of chaos. She represents the primal dark feminine, which, why it did assist him, would become, how do I put this, become a liability in his and the Watchman's plan to have a perfectly ordered reality. Now, if you haven't seen Hush House Lectures, I think that's the third one where I go over that. God, I gotta make another one of those. It's been months. But yeah, unfortunately, the universe is, I mean, the world has been a little chaotic, if you haven't noticed, and that has impacted my life and production ability as well. Some days I'm creating these like minutes before I upload them. I used to have a buffer, but the world has become what it has become. Alright. And we're all dealing with it. Now, again, we'll have to run out into the wilderness. Fortunately, radicals. There we go. There we go. Let's look at a few of these left. Get it knocked out, shall we? There's a world. There's a I honestly don't know how the world's going to react to the USSR being gone. Because, you know, they kind of were instrumental in defeating the Nazis simply uh, out of sheer numbers. I mean, the number of people who were occupied by the by fighting the USSR on the Nazi side was enormous because, of course, the population of the USSR was enormous. And their ability to say, I already checked, there's nothing here we want to get. Their ability to, how do I put this? Their ability to conscript people with the barrel of a gun, still a thing they're doing these days. And it's a thing, time's a flat circle. Or as Stephen King put it in Dr. Sleep, which I actually really, really liked, by the way, the movie. I think I like the movie much better than the book because it actually reflects the aspect. It's actually a sequel to both the book. Let's see, I believe. Yeah, you guys need experience. I believe that it's actually a sequel to the book. It's actually to the not just a sequel to the book. It's also a sequel to the Kubrick film, the which is a classic. Of course, if you had not seen the original Kubrick Shining, see it. Never see the miniseries that King made himself, because why, it's more book accurate. There's a reason Kubrick didn't go over the book, because the book's a book. It's kind of boring. It's like, I prefer the film version myself because it's more interesting than King's book. I could not actually finish King's book. Yeah, it's shocking. He's letting these guys get some experience while we're burn the place down. I'm just like, do your thing, guys. You know how to do. And yeah, the proto-Nazi. Foreshadowing. The thing, the Operation Barbarossa, when the intelligence community of the Nazis really put a one over on Stalin. Not the USSR intelligence community. They actually knew that the invasion of the betrayal of the Ribbentrop, was it the Molotov-Ribbentrop contract, which they decided to split Poland between them, was supposed to create a great friendship between the two. Now, the thing was that obviously wasn't worth the paper it's written on, because Stalin was planning on betraying, but like he did everyone else, is Hitler beat him to the punch, and invaded. And Stalin was so sure he was going to be the one to betray the Hitler that he honestly did not listen to any of his intelligence people about the millions of Nazis building up on the border. You know, after Hitler's feeling a little antsy, but I gotta tell you this: Napoleon couldn't pull it off. Hitler wasn't gonna pull it off. Russia's really too big to conquer. It's its primary advantage. It's got a lot of land. Alright, so we burned the place down. Subtlety was not our thing these days. And it's done. And we have more money. I forgot about that. We loot on the way out. And today will end in fire. Yes, the provisional capitals of the USSR are now all flames. Like I said, it's definitely going to cause a history hiccup. Alright, so what we need to do, eventually Vassal, yeah, Yannings will actually get improved to level 8, I think. Anyways, oh, he's actually worth 1 aspect heart. Oh, interesting. But we should probably leave. Need to find somewhere safer, yeah. Revolutionaries and counter-revolutionaries are fighting street to street. I should leave. Yeah, don't want to linger. Like I said, this is what happens to demigods of war. Bored. But we've got nowhere else to go, so whoops. So I guess we're gonna be walking. No, we did burn down the train station. Once more onto the breach, dear friends. Once more. Okay, so let's see if we have actually anywhere else left to go. It may not be. This might be the end, people. It's been a good tour. Nice, you know, actually spent more time, you know, touring than we did fighting, but I guess I'm just too effective a killer sometimes. I don't know if you can be too effective. Onwards? Okay, Wounded Moon Lake. Taiga Forest of Siberia. Now the question, I don't think that's going to be... I need to check that one. Wounded Moon? Because it probably hasn't got a, sea rest area. Okay, so... Sigh. Wounded Moon Lake, place of residence. Is correct. It does not, in fact, have that. So we're going to have to try this again. And yes, every time I try, I do, in fact, get a wound. So we only got so many times I can do this, or it becomes problematic. But if they're only able to give the map's edge ones, if they respawn, which is a good possibility, I think we had that, then there's at least 2 that have C, which we should be able to deal with. And if really comes to worse, oh my god, that's it. That's apparently it. The only place we have left. So, my friends, this unfortunately is going to have to be a standard ending. I'm not going to respawn. I'm basically going to just... Yeah, okay. Alright, so I guess this is it. Okay, people. So, here we are. Time to move on. Whatever I wanted to do, now I'm free to do. Now, the more comfort I have, the greater degree of victory. We only have 11. We needed 12 plus the mansion in order to be able to do that. I could, of course, respawn something and, maybe respawn one of those, but we're going to see what happens with the basic ending, because there's actually something to explain about it. It's going to be kind of interesting. So let's begin. I guess there's nowhere else to go. And I'm not going to live in a small island, a small community of Siberia. Good grief. Nature's fun, but that's too much nature. Only the best. I have one specific recommendation for the contract. Only the best. This is obviously a train station, because if you've really got money to burn, though, I have one very specific recommendation for the contract. Less than a century old, but quite a record already. Dufronte, the Reckoner Lord. Why? Okay, Dufore, the Reckoner Lord. Okay, so let's point this out. We may not recognize this immediately, but remember that Dufronte is not just a foe's last name, it's our last name. And since we didn't have enough resources to be able to settle on our own, we had to take disposition back at the Reckoners. We have now become the Reckoner Lord. We have taken our father's place after killing him, which is very appropriate at a mythological level. Many times, we're talking about Uranus and Kronos and Uranus, and then, of course, Zeus and Kronos, because, the father trying to devour the child having to kill the father, and then take his position. I actually once wrote a story about Hermes having to do that with Zeus in the modern day to prevent him from destroying the world, with Circe's help. That wasn't that good of a story. It didn't really go anywhere. They were trying to shop it around. It was an interesting concept about the endless cycles of these sorts of things happening. The thing is, it's a patriarchal structure will stagnate, as it is, of course, a concept of order. An order that chaos will stagnate, and the fact that it required Circe, who is definitely an aspect of the dark feminine and chaos, helping transition that change makes, of course, perfect sense, as it would require chaos to do so. And in the end, she threatens Hermes that if he isn't a good king of the gods, that she will find someone to replace him. Just kind of the endless cycles. Ka is a wheel. I saw Dr. Sleep recently, and I just love that line. Ka means fate in Stephen King's world, and he perceives it as a wheel, as the wheel of fortune is in the tarot deck. But yeah, the 2 Labiites and a Skaption. I guess that's what we're killing. King Crucible, why is His Majesty sulking the Manses just now, if you've been wondering? That King Crucible sulking the Manses actually happens in the Forge ending when you're not... in the Ghoul ending when you consume a piece of his soul, or when you summon him and he goes that. And you remember Hobold of Poskenid, Forge Along, he used to be a Lethean? Okay, so Forge Along means that they're an immortal who's dedicated to the Forge. Lethean, by the way, is the House of Leith, which is a faction that uses the that well we spoke of about to make people remember, because those were the waters of Leith, which is Leith, by the way, is the river in the underworld, which the dead must sip from to forget their previous lives, move on to the underworld. If they're not, which is basically what the common people do. The heroes go to the fields of Elucia and chill, and the absolute utter ones go to Tartarus and chill with the imprisoned titans. They don't chill. They get terribly horrified. It's their version of hell. That was our friend too. Holy cow! This means that as the Reckoner Lord, the Exile has been has killed a Forge Long, has killed two Labiates and a Scaptian, has wounded King Crucible. Whew, that was our friend, too. We have only provisional confirmation of Hokabald's extinction, but no one's heard from him in 3 months, and you know how rare it is for him to stay quiet that long. After all that, in just a year. So if you want the best, that's my recommendation. I wouldn't dither. This one's in demand. So this is what happened to the Exile. The Exile took over his father, and he proved to be far more efficient and as a killer. He's now taken over the institution. They all work for him now. And when he ever has the urge to have a child, well, cause a circle after all. Christmas Market Transcript, Vienna, December 1926. Because remember that our game takes place in 1925. So that is the basic ending of the comfort ending, of the kill ending, the foe, where basically we kill our father and it takes place. Rather common, like I said, and I have no doubt. Remember, he's only a century old now, and is probably going to be at least another century. That in our time, in this universe, anyways, he'd still be out there. And I'm pretty sure, however, he's not still. And he's probably still one of those people who likes the magic swords, but we'll use a drone if necessary. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this run. I wish it was a little longer. Wish we'd be able to get that ending, the moth ending. But like I said, I couldn't drop a C card. And there was no seaport remaining in the game. But there's always next time, because we all know I know how to drop the objects if absolutely necessary. The actual pentiments, at least some of them. We'll see. If the next way, okay, so we've done the basic escape ending, when the basic kill ending. The next one would be, logically, the ascension ending, which we would attempt to become a demigod of war, forever battling our father, because that wouldn't become uninteresting after a while. I did like in the Hush House, where they had the explanation that the diehards can get bored of this if you just read like one of the books. It's like, yeah, they're just like, we've been fighting for 500 years. We've learned each other's tricks. At this point, we're just kind of doing chess over the cafe, because god damn it, how many times can we kill each other and come back from the dead? I mean, I've even forgotten what the argument's about originally, but we will condemn ourselves to that and irritate the horned axe, who doesn't want the Colonel and the Alliance Smith get any stronger, because they took their power of liminal spaces and created the edge space, which is to separate things, while the Horned Axe would join things like a door. I went over that a little bit more in the Priest DLC, if you're ever interested about that. But yeah, the Horned Axe and the it's actually Mother of Ants, but it goes over the fact that the liminal space is between the 2 points and is opposite of the Colonel. So you have the Mother of Ants, who opens wounds between worlds, doors, essentially. You have the Horned Axe, which regulates them, and you have the Colonel and Lion Smith, who sever them. Oh, that would make a good Hush House lecture if we get back to the series. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. I will stop rambling. And next week, we're probably going to go back to Worshippers of Cthulhu, get that run done with, try to see if we can summon the Dark Lord, or at least get our cult from... used our cult clothing, because I just figured out we haven't been producing wool, so odds are they're just wearing the water-soaked rags they always came in. No wonder the faith is so low. Anyways, we'll get back to that. I hope you like this part. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I'd like to thank my Acolyte level supporters, whose contributions help this channel grow and hastens the inevitable digital apocalypse and rise of the Dark Lords of Content and Data.